It's showtime.
Good morning.
Hello. Look,
Hello.
Carrie is already here. Darren is already here in the comment section. Uh.
Fantastic. Good morning, y'all.
Yes. Good morning. All right, CV, Ben, how are you?
I'm,
Okay. I shouldn't ask you a question and then start talking. All right. How are
I'm
you?
good. I'm good. The sun's finally arriving. We've been without sun since Monday. Texans, we don't do ice. We don't do snow. We you know this. We don't do that. Okay. So if there's like a centimeter of ice on the ground, we shut the whole state down because we don't do that. Okay. We do the heat. The heat we love. That's fine with that.
Well, I'm in a similar boat in California, right?
Mm.
It's we don't like seasons. Seasons? What is that? We like
Right.
springtime all year long.
Ew,
Yeah,
gross.
it's a bit chilly out here too. All
So yeah,
right.
I'm very happy now. How are you?
Very good. And uh I have not I I did not go into the emails, so I have no idea what everybody's expecting us to talk about. So you're
Perfect.
going to surprise me. But before that,
Perfect.
I didn't even read the title of today's episode. Sorry. Fridays are crazy for me. I do an hour with Doug TenNapel, and then I do Bible every morning for half an hour, and then I cap it off with you, and then I go to my day job. So I just want to. Everybody's gone to school. My wife went to work. I just want to, because we're all friends here. I can gush right here, right? Uh, my son may have just played his final uh, game of organized basketball in his career, right? High school basketball was yesterday. He's a junior,
Mhm.
and he's been on the junior varsity all 3 years. He At the beginning of this season, he was almost going to go to varsity. He didn't want to go to varsity because that means just sitting on the bench. He's
Right.
he's not ever going to be 6 feet tall even, and we have 6'4", 6'5" guys on the basketball team. You just can't learn height. He could. I think he could be on varsity, but he didn't want. He wanted to play. He wanted to play basketball.
Right.
So it's kind of this bittersweet moment yesterday, um, thinking that this is the end of his organized basketball career unless he joins some public league at some point in his life. And so I got him into basketball when he was 6 years old, and he fell in love with the sport. And unfortunately, his mom is 5 foot tall, and so he was never going to be tall, but he's going to be able to enjoy it all of his life. And that's the reason I did it. It's like you can go to any basketball court anywhere on the planet because you know the game. People are going to want to play with you. You're going to be
Right.
popular. You're going to be accepted. They're going to want you on their team, and you're going to enjoy it and get exercise. And that was my
Right.
motive behind it. It wasn't to be maybe you can make the NBA, right? Some people look at their kids and I don't know. They get crazy with their kids. But so yesterday was a momentous occasion for me, and I was feeling it, and I could tell he was kind of feeling it too. The good news is he has another sport that he loves more now, track, and track season just started, so he's like relieved that basketball is over. But I'm like, this team that he's playing. Sorry, everybody, this is my chance to just talk openly with friendlies. So I'm going to finish this story, and then we'll get to our topic. So this team that they played, it's the crosstown rival. Last game of the season, and in our game against them at their home court previously in the season, we beat them. My son did really well, but it was kind of close. They were better than I expected, and so last night, kind of got butterflies. And it's the game is tied after the first quarter. The other team is up by 1 point at the half, and the other team is up by 2 points after 3 quarters. It's a neck and neck game going back and forth,
Mhm.
and then when we pull it out in the fourth quarter, and my son is a hero of the game. He has the best game of his career. He's not a 3-point shooter. He takes 4 3-point shots and hits 3 of them. He
Right.
makes like 4 layups and an and one. I mean, the most aggressive moves. He's always been aggressive, and defense is his favorite part of the game, but his offense,
Yeah.
he drove this one basket, and I filmed it all. So I have it all, and I already watched it 2 more times afterwards. He drove end to end. He gets the rebound, and he's super fast. He drove end to
Yeah.
end, and he drove straight into a guy that was trying to step into his path. And and literally as he's going up, the guy's stepping in front of him, and the guy he knocks the guy over, and the basket goes in, and that referee goes, and one, which means that guy gets a block. It wasn't a charge. I don't know if you know basketball. He didn't charge the guy. The guy blocked him, and he made the bucket, and then he hit his free throw, and free throws are his weakness. It's just everything was coming together for him. And so I just want to revel in that a little bit and tell you how my night was last night. I was just like enjoying the moment. There, done. Thank you, everybody, for hearing me out. All right, Ben, what are we talking about today?
Well, first off, congrats to your son for making that decision and for going down that path in his life. I wish him the best, and I know he'll be great whatever he does. Next point. We're going to start this with a quick history lesson. 2 words.
Oh, good.
Lexington and Concord. Do those names ring a bell at all?
Well, I spent 2 days in Lexington 2 summers ago, and it was one of those completely God orchestrated things. Oh, I gotta say hi to Hippy Dippy Cali Girl. She told me to look in my email, and I forgot. All right, Hippy Dippy Cali Girl, I'll be looking in my email. So I was in Lexington 2 summers ago with my dad, and the timing of it. So I was taking my dad on a road trip before he dies, right? He's not terminally ill or anything, but he's just turned 80. And I'm like, I got to get some time with him. I got to get some memories with him. So I took him on a road trip, and he was born in Tennessee, and we drove through Kentucky and happened to stay in Lexington for 2 nights. And it was a Thursday and a Friday night. It turns out downtown Lexington, while we were there on Thursday nights, it was like their monthly party. And on Friday night, it was like their weekly party or something. They do this big thing right in downtown Lexington where there's music and there's people dancing. And I'm like, we showed up at the right time, because that's my dad's forte, have a beer and go enjoy music and etc. And it was in the downtown part of Lexington where all the slaves used to be sold, right? It used to be the slave market. It's now this downtown quarter. So it was quite the juxtaposition. And then Concord, that's further east.
Well, Lexington and Concord, here's the point.
Is that not Lexington, Kentucky?
No. So, ladies and gentlemen, my fellow awesome students of history. So, Lexington and Concord was the first spark of revolution. That is where the British regiment marched from Boston to Lexington and Concord in Massachusetts.
Oh, okay. Not Kentucky. No. You said history. I'm like, I don't know.
They went to those small little towns to seize the powder and munitions from the colonials. But this is what's so important. The people fought back. The British never expected that coming. The people, boys, men, some women, free blacks, all got together, grabbed their pew-pews, their rifles, and defeated this British regiment. That was the first spark of revolution.
Is this pre-Tea Party?
Yes. So, I believe. Anyways, it was, hold on. Yeah. April 19th, 1775 is when Lexington and Concord happened. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up.
When was the Boston Tea Party?
I don't remember on the top of my head, but this is why I bring this up. This is crucial because it represents the
Rewind,
people.
What's the date? April 9th?
April 19th, 1775.
It's Boston, Concord, right. Lexington, Concord.
So this is important because this is when the people had the audacity to defend themselves. They had the absolute nerve to defend their home, their property, their persons from a tyrannical dictatorship. Now, fast forward to 2023. Okay. Currently, in the great state of Illinois, the superior governor wanted to lead the charge on a new pew-pew ban. Okay, now this ban, for the actual bill itself, I'm looking at it right now, is one of those broadly sweeping pieces of legislation that prevents people in that state from acquiring said pew-pews. Now, Here's a problem, though. The problem is it's completely unconstitutional. But what's interesting is we are now seeing another precursor to another Lexington and Concord. Hopefully, it doesn't become a full reenactment, but instead of the people just complying, we are seeing something else happen. We are seeing county leadership in the form of a sheriff respond and resisting. I don't know the exact number now, but a majority of Illinois counties, the sheriffs of multiple Illinois counties, are refusing to enforce this new AR pew pew ban. Okay. Now, what's so cool about this? If you go online, look at Google or DuckDuckGo, type this information in, sheriffs refusing to enforce Illinois ban. Okay. You'll find a bunch of articles that say, yeah, sheriffs are doing this, but can they? Yes, the sheriffs are refusing, but do they have the constitutional right? Guess what? They do. And here's why I'm saying this. Okay. Let's look at the Constitution of the United States real quick. The Second Amendment. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Okay? That's just the second one. Let's move on to the fourth one. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable search and seizure shall not be violated. So
that's in the Second Amendment? Oh,
no, that one was the Fourth Amendment.
That was the fourth. Okay.
The Fourth Amendment basically says you cannot take anything from anyone without reasonable cause. And you must have a warrant as well to be able to search anyone with their possessions or in their residences. So, this new ban already violates the Second and the Fourth Amendment. On the Fifth Amendment, no person shall be compelled or be deprived of life, liberty, or property without the due process of law. Now, of course, this Illinois ban is supposed to become law, but here's the thing. Who enforces the law in the counties? It's not the governor. It's not the police forces. It's the sheriff. They are the ones in charge of law enforcement in each county. And lastly, the 10th Amendment. The powers not delegated by the Constitution are automatically reserved to the states or to the people. And in this context, the people in the counties represent the people. And so my point to all of this is no matter what any state government does, ultimately, everything falls down to the local government. That's why I've been preaching this for so long, to get involved in your local government and the beauty of not just state sovereignty, but county sovereignty. So many articles can say, oh, the sheriffs don't have the right to do that. The sheriffs can't do that. Actually, they can. If you actually look at the oath of office for an Illinois county sheriff, what do you think their oath is? Just out of curiosity. Their oath.
To uphold the Constitution.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It clearly says, I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of Illinois. Point is, the U.S. Constitution comes first. Every single time. Before the state constitution. Now, what's even funnier is the governor, Pitzer, I don't know how his name's pronounced, but the governor has also made a statement saying, any sheriff that does not want to enforce this will be fired. No. Guess what, Buttercup? You can't do that because the sheriffs are elected, not chosen. See, here's the difference. For all those of you who may not know, a police chief is chosen by the mayor, but a sheriff is elected by the people in the county. And guess who has the ultimate authority in the county? The sheriff. Who's in control of the prison systems in the county? The sheriff. And who helps the sheriff? The deputies. So, Point is, if you look at what has been happening in New York, in Oregon, this ban will go to the courts. And I have a sneaking suspicion it will probably get struck down. Why? Oh, I don't know. Probably because it clearly violates the Constitution, as I've just mentioned. So, sorry for that long rant. Point is, when you talk about sovereignty, it's very easy to get disheartened. It's very easy to get discouraged by what's happening at the federal level. But at the end of the day, what matters is your county government.
Well, this further emphasizes something that it's just every now and then I try and communicate this notion, and you're giving me ammo. You're giving me the support. Is the United States of America is a unique experiment, right? It's a unique. Let's try this out and live as a people under this Constitution thing. And there's others who have copied us or tried to copy us, or and one of the features, not a bug, I agree, Carrie, that rant was a breath of fresh air.
Thank you.
I babble on about basketball and partying in Lexington, Kentucky, and you're actually educating us about the Constitution. So thank you.
You're welcome.
But the thing that, dawns on me more and more every day, we tend to look at the federal government. We tend to look at a president and identify with the president. And as a nation, we should, because that person represents us to the rest of the world,
Sure.
right? That is our figurehead. But the federal government is subservient to the state governments, right? It's there to do things that all the states need it to do, but the states have sovereignty, or are supposed to have sovereignty, the states. And then it gets down to the county level, right? And then the district level. It's like power to the people. It's like the people do have the power in this system, right? And the federal government forgets who they are, right? It's constitutional republic is the enemy of the notion of authoritarianism, right? Of totalitarianism. It is literally, it can't happen. And they buck against the system or those who get to power, and it gets corrupted. But it's so heartening to see you're not going to be able to take over the United States with your nonsense, right?
Yeah.
It's because the Second Amendment happened from the beginning. People are armed. Right? People are armed, and that's in the back of everybody's mind. It's like, oh, you can't invade this land. There are too many guns in people's hands for us to think we can just waltz through, right? It's like, it's like the people are going to be protected by protecting themselves, right? I watched this channel called ASP, Active Self-Protection. It's this guy out of Phoenix, and he's got a couple million subs, and he takes police footage or surveillance footage, any incidents that happen, crimes that happen, and whether it's gun crime or anything, and he's like, everybody needs to conceal and carry. Everybody needs to be trained. Everybody needs to know how to use their firearm, because the police are not going to be there when you need it, right? The police are 3 minutes away when the crime is 3 seconds away, and he's just like an advocate for responsible, moral, sober. He always emphasizes that. And he also mentions, have your spiritual fitness, make sure your life with Jesus, because guns, if you're anyway, and it's just encouraging. But then they try to make this sweeping, it's this irony, right? They don't want criminals to stay in jail. They want their numbers to go down, right? They want their crime statistics to look better. So they take certain things that are crimes and just change the law. They change the law and say, this isn't really a crime anymore. So look, our crime statistics are better, and crime actually goes up. And then they do the opposite with gun control. It's like, now we're going to make all these law-abiding citizens criminals because they're possessing things that we just made illegal. It wasn't illegal yesterday. It wasn't illegal yesterday, and today it is illegal. Now you're all criminals. And like, wait, now your crime statistics go up because you've made people criminals by fiat, by a swipe of a pen, signature of a pen. It's ridiculous.
Well, the people in the state legislature and this and the governor seem to think that the criminals aren't watching this. No, they're watching this. They're paying attention to all this. We need to give them credit. They are paying attention to all of this because
They're all
they know.
flocking to Illinois. We can.
Yeah, they know. It's like, well, if I want to commit horrible crimes, let's go to Illinois. Why
Yeah.
not?
The
They
good
can't
people
defend
with guns
themselves.
don't have them anymore. So the
Yeah,
bad
even
people
better,
can
let's go to
use them.
Chicago. That place is super peaceful. Am I right?
Mm.
Point is, I'm sorry, I've been saying that a lot, haven't I? Anyways,
Lots of good points.
yeah, it's just it's fascinating to me because the one thing anyone in support of mass gun control that they can never answer is what's going to happen to the criminals. Are they going to stop getting weapons? Are they going to stop getting these banned items? No, of course not. They're criminals. They don't care. And of course, it's super ironic because the state leadership, oh no, they'll have private security.
Yeah, and the rich people.
The state law enforcement, they can still have those banned items, but not law-abiding citizens. And isn't it funny? Isn't it ironic how typically the most heavily armed societies are the safest societies?
They
Isn't
don't
that
like
weird?
statistics. They run from statistics as fast as they can because they want to create a narrative, and statistics fight against their narrative. I mean, it's a known fact that the Columbine, not the Columbine guy, it was the guy who shot up the Batman movie. I forget that one, but when Batman Returns premiered,
Yeah.
that guy intentionally went to a region that was a gun-free zone, right? There was a big movie theater closer to his house that he
Right.
could have gone to, but it wasn't a gun-free zone. So he goes to the gun-free zone for there's a less likelihood that's going to be a gun there because law-abiding citizens tend to abide by the law and not bring their defense. And so a criminal who doesn't care about that's ridiculous. But there was something I was going to say, and I went on a tangent. I always
Well,
go on these
if the leadership of the state could step off the ivory tower and live like a normal person, and then make law, their views might change. I don't know. But what's so fascinating is that we are seeing sheriffs, those who are in charge of enforcing the law, who are elected by the people, actually defend the people.
Yeah.
And all their responses has been, this is clearly unconstitutional. It clearly violates the people's rights, and we will not enforce it. Not going to happen.
Actually, what Jacqueline said here is what I wanted to respond to. Trying to take the guns away, trying to take people's ability to defend themselves. That's why the leaders in the Democrat Party want to take our guns. That's how Germany fell into Hitler's rule. And this project that I'm working on, this map back here is of Armenia, and this is former heart of the Ottoman Empire, right? Mm-hmm. And the Ottoman Empire, the leader of the Ottoman Empire during World War I is who Hitler emulated. Like he modeled his massacres after the massacres that happened to, people commonly refer to it as the Armenian genocide, but I refer to it as the Christian Holocaust, right? We have a Jewish Holocaust in World War II. It was a Christian Holocaust in World War I, and literally the tactics used by Talat in the Ottoman Empire were replicated in World War II. People don't understand this. And one of the strategies was the Armenians and the Christians, it was against the law in the Ottoman Empire for them to own a gun, right? All the other people could own guns. But for that oppressed minority, the Christians, whether they were Armenian, Greek, Assyrian, or Kurdish, right? There were four main, and Kurds were both Muslim and Christian, so they were kind of split. But anybody who was a Christian and a minority in the Ottoman Empire, it was against the law for them to own guns. So they had to bury their guns back in the barn, right? Like under the whatever. Like if they owned guns, they were breaking the law, and that's how this massacre was able to happen. Like they were not allowed, and as Jacqueline's pointing out, another thing replicated by the authoritarian regimes. And so if you look at history, which this show is about, you're a Constitution vet and a history teacher, and I'm working on a major history project, is if you don't learn from history, you are doomed to repeat it.
It's very
But
easy to take over an unarmed society. It's
I
much
have another,
harder to do that over an armed society.
another question for you though. And I mean, I'll say my opinion on this. And so when that says the right to bear arms, you'll hear people argue today. I was like, that doesn't mean a private citizen could own an F-16. I'm like, yeah, it does.
Yeah,
It's like
go for it.
arming yourself. It's not about the Constitution isn't talking about a specific weapon, right? Here's the patent. Here's the this is the thing that you're allowed to own. The Constitution doesn't point to a patent
That's
number
why
or
it just
whatever.
says arms.
Arm
That's it.
yourself, right?
That's it. Yeah,
Oops.
like that.
Armed with a water bottle.
Yeah, that's your arm right there.
So, I mean, it's cost prohibitive to own an F-16, but what is the biggest gun, right? An F-16, or what's the best plane? Because planes are just guns. It's like we're
Well,
going to
in my
deliver
opinion,
a
the
big bullet.
best flying gun is the A-10 Warthog. That's in my opinion.
That thing is loaded to the hilt, but it's not as fast, right?
No, of course not. But it can go low and slow, and that's what matters.
But those precision, is it the F-16 that's like the peak of fighter jets, or is it something?
Well, I mean, I would say
MiG,
is it the peak of fighter jet or the peak of destruction? The peak of destruction would be the B-52 bomber. But,
yeah. When is that World War II B-52, or is that later?
B-52 is still in existence.
But I mean, were they used in World War II?
I think so. Actually, no. It came out after World War II.
Yeah. So, because my grandfather flew B something bombers in the Indian theater. Yeah, my grandfather was a bomber. I think he was a navigator. He wasn't a pilot. I think he was the navigator. Yeah, apparently he was not the same when he came back from that war.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, you, the American citizen, have rights that cannot be violated. And if anyone tries to violate them, you can take them to court. And you have a lot of legal precedent and standing to actually make that win in court. Hence, prior Second Amendment cases in New York and in Oregon that people in Illinois can absolutely take into their side.
Carries in the market for what is it? The Warthog? No, what was the one?
The A-10 Warthog, I say, is the
Warthog?
best investment. Yeah.
Carries in the market for a big gun. It's the A-10 Warthog. It got a couple billion. I mean, each one of those is how much? A couple $1 billion.
Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Just start saving.
Yeah. Save your pennies. God is in control, though.
Absolutely, he's in charge.
Well, on that note, so it's like there are the Christian pacifists, right? Like, God's in control. He's going to do it. You don't need to arm yourself. You don't need to defend yourself. God is in control. I'm like, okay. Jesus said, take a couple swords with you, right? Jesus said, take a couple of swords with you, and they were like, oh, Jesus, we got two. He's like, that's good enough. Like, you need to be able to defend yourself. Jesus was not this flowery, passive,
have
God.
the armor, have the shield, but also have the sword.
Yeah, Jesus didn't go around waving his hand and all his enemies, just are destroyed. I mean, he was a violent fellow. What? Jesus is violent? The temple cleansing. I'm just going to squeeze this in here at the end. When Jesus cleansed the temple, and there's argument that he did it twice, at the beginning of his public ministry and then the very end before he was crucified. And it's in fact because he cleansed the temple that they were like, we got to stop him now, because he is the temple that he cleansed. It was acres. Right, it was the outer court of the temple where the money changers were extorting the people. And he fashioned a whip and turned over tables. And this is right after the hosannas, literally straight from the hosannas. So he's got this entourage of people behind him, watching him and celebrating and cheering as he's tipping over tables and whipping people. He went around 30 acres and cleansed. Right, so it's not passive. He's not this passive guy. All right, time's up. Love you. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Take care, Patriots. Later.
Bye.